Hey guys, today I want to talk about Ramadan on campus, but more broadly speaking, I want to talk about being a religious minority on campus, or even probably that goes into being a minority in general. And I'm going to use Ramadan as an outline, but really a lot of this stuff does apply to being a religious minority. So, um, as you guys might know, maybe not, Ramadan ended roughly a week ago. It was last Friday. And yeah, that's like 7 days ago. No, it's been like 9 days, but anyways, um, Ramadan ended 9 days ago, and you know, experiencing Ramadan whilst being in school is something I've never experienced before. So I do think it's an important topic because Ramadan is actually based on a lunar calendar. And that means that a lot of these experiences are going to persist for a long time for university students, especially because it's slowly seeping into the school year. So usually it's been during the summer. So in 2017, it was like probably around May. Usually Ramadan is in the beginning of the school year, in my experience, but now it's really seeping into the spring, and then over time it's going to go through the winter, and then it's going to, it's lunar. So this is the first time I've really experienced a full Ramadan whilst being in school. And it's not like maybe the last week of school, it's, Ramadan, and, I have the rest of the summer to do Ramadan. It's actually something I feel like the university really needs to take into consideration. I've only seen one a faculty actually talk about this. So the head of SLLC, Dr. Lindsay Yatsugura, did tell one of my teachers about Ramadan feedback. But by the time she asked about it, I think we had like 5 days, or no, maybe not 5 days. It might have been like a week or two left. But I do think that we do need to have this discussion because it's very important and it's going to be very, very relevant in the coming years as Ramadan seeps into the school year. So, Ramadan on campus, that's when Muslims can't eat or drink for usually, I'll say roughly about 15 hours a day. So it's from dawn till dusk. And it's really, in Muslim countries, I would say like a nightlife. And that means when students are in school and everything, they're probably exhausted or tired and stuff. And like for me, I literally don't have energy during Ramadan. Like it's not there. It's pretty much non-existent. It's just like very difficult for me to do anything. And it's different for everyone. Like some people fare a little better. I usually fare better, but this past Ramadan, it was terrible. I couldn't get anything done. And I think it would be really helpful if professors really did maybe accommodate um for students experiencing Ramadan. Like if an assignment is due at midnight, I think they should give the student maybe until like 3 a.m. to do it. Um, so it's still done by nighttime, but also during Ramadan, you have like the like Tarawih prayers, which usually honestly last all night. It's like 9 p.m. until 1 o'clock in the morning. And if you're at school during the day and you have to do your homework at night, especially if you're a commuter, you don't have a lot of time, like, on campus students. It's very difficult to get anything done. It really is. And it does go into how students are practicing their faith. I think it does affect greatly how students practice their faith, um, because they don't have the time to really go and do these activities because they're at a specific time. And during the day they might just be too exhausted. Like one thing about me, some Ramadans, I literally cannot walk. I'm walking on campus and I'm like so slow, like a turtle. It can get pretty bad. Honestly. I don't even know how I lasted last Ramadan. It got like so stressful. I started literally crying. Like I was crying from the amount of stress. And it's just like, and maybe it was just school stress, but like Ramadan, like the whole hunger. situation just made me feel I felt physically weak. It was pretty bad, and I was out here crying. I would just be on the bus and I just start crying just because of how much I just couldn't handle it. It's pretty hard, and I feel like it's really something we need to talk about because I cannot be the only one. Um, this might be too much information, but I'm going to say it anyways because I think it really goes into how much this affects students on campus. And I do think there's a large percent of the population. It is a minority, but I think it's enough people that we should care about accommodating. And like for me, I ended up missing my period for the month, and then like it was bad, and I was like crying, and it was like so stressful, and it was just a lot. And I know a lot of people do miss it, but I really felt not good. And maybe it was because like right before Ramadan, I was like, well, I was sick like the first few days of Ramadan, like super sick. I ended up catching something. And that's another episode in itself. When I was at the McNair conference, and I'm going to make an episode about being a McNair student, because I do think there needs to be more marketing regarding that because a lot of people just don't know what that is. And then I say something about it, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, so definitely McNair." Um, Yeah, like it's really tough and it makes schoolwork hard. I was starting to score really low just because of the level of fatigue, absolute exhaustion. I mean, really, for some people they can handle that, but like I remember being younger, like as a kid fast, and it doesn't bother you when you're like 10, 15 years old, but now that I'm almost 25, it really, really takes it out of me honestly and truly does. I mean, God, I had a horrible mother. I mean, like I would just cry, and it wasn't like I would just sit there and think about it. I would just start randomly crying. And I think it would be really great if the university did help in that regard. And I know Muslims are not the only people that fast. It's a pretty common thing in Abrahamic faiths in general. Like Muslims have Ramadan for a month, but I mean, honestly, Christians could fast or Jews could fast. I mean, it's not like a purely Muslim thing. And also, I really want to mention why isn't like at the end of Ramadan, there is a holiday called Eid, and it's not on the academic calendar. I think it really does need to be. And I do think students should have about 3 days uh off for Eid. And I do think the last day of Ramadan needs to be off because that has a lot of preparations for the holidays. And I do think it's a little insensitive to have holidays off for other religions, for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, all these days off. But for something like Ramadan, there's no days off. To me, that is very inconsiderate, really. And I mean, Ramadan is like a lunar calendar, but we can kind of predict when it is, roughly. So, like I think maybe at least postpone a few things or have students do things a little late. I did just tell the teacher I was going off, but it's kind of weird sometimes because you might have those circumstances where there might be something that's a mandatory assignment that you just can't put off during the holidays. And it's not because the teacher is insensitive, it's a school holiday, the teacher can give those assignments, but that might make it difficult for certain students. Um, so that's definitely something we need to discuss. And I know this is not just a thing for Muslims, but I do think it's something that affects all religious minorities. Um, Definitely. So I'm really just trying to call for some change on the campus because Ramadan is going to continue being during the school year. Like before, it was kind of in the summer. You know, but as it's seeping into the school year and it's 1000% going to occur during the springtime, and then after that, it will be during the winter and slowly seep into the fall and then once again come back to the summer, that's going to take a long time for the lunar calendar to do that way. I mean, last time Ramadan was in May. Um, it was, wait, hold up. No, it wasn't. That was like 2 years ago. Last year, it was like the first or second week of April. And this year it started like the last week of March. So it's just going to keep seeping in like that. And I really do think we need to have these discussions. And I do think every department should see how they could accommodate for their Muslim students. And I was very, very happy to hear that Dr. Yatsukura was asking this question, and I never got back to her. I have to write about it, write back and tell my teacher my suggestions, or probably just email her. But I do think that that is a great step forward, honestly. And I know this university really cares about students and takes a lot of feedback, like the feedback that we get for our courses. I know this university cares about students, and I do think this is something we need to talk about right now, right now for everyone that's coming into university. And I honestly can say that having school full time during Ramadan really was not it. Like I was saying, I was literally crying the amount of stress. Like it was bad. It was so bad. I was so hungry, but then I didn't have enough energy because like I had to sleep to get to school, so I couldn't eat enough food to maintain myself throughout the day because I'm not the type of person that's just gonna eat like all that food just in one sitting. That's like a lot of food to eat in one sitting. Um, Goodness, it was so bad. It was terrible. Yes, so that's why I think we need to bring attention to this topic, honestly and truly, and also look into other communities like the Sikh community. I've seen a few people that are Sikh. If you don't know what Sikh is, I'll pull it up over here. So they get mistaken for being Muslim a lot of times, but they're actually religion and philosophy from the Punjab region of the Indian subcontinent in the late 15th century, it says here. So they do oftentimes get mistaken for Muslims, but they're not because people just see brown people and think they're all the same thing. Um, it's not true. Like the Sikh community, I'm pretty sure they have their own holidays. So let's see, Sikh holidays. Okay, let's do 2023. All right, see, they have a holiday in April of 2023, June, November 9th, October 20th. This stuff goes in to the school calendar, but nobody is accommodating for Sikh holidays, which is another minority I'm thinking about. And just because your minority might be much smaller doesn't mean that we shouldn't accommodate. I've only seen maybe a few people that look Sikh, but just because you don't see anyone that physically looks like that, that doesn't mean they're not that. Let's see Hindu holidays. Hindu holidays for 2023. EK. So there's stuff in January, February, March, April, May, June, August. I mean, really, I'm not Hindu, so I don't know what exactly these holidays consist of, but I do think if it's a holiday that people are really um having to observe for like a day or two, some holidays last a few days. Let's look at this holiday here. Um, all right, it celebrates religion. It seems important. Um, okay, let's look up the most important Hindu holidays. Okay. Diwali. I think we should accommodate for all minority religions. Um, I mean, it's really unfair see, that's going to come in November. It's really unfair, I think, that major or the most dominant religion gets so many days off, but the rest of us have to, like, literally, we don't get any days off, and or get accommodated, it's just something that I think definitely needs to change as the world becomes more global. I think we need to have these conversations. Um, People are moving. It's not like in the past, or people wouldn't have accommodated, or didn't care. I think we're becoming a society that's becoming more accepting, that wants to accommodate for a lot of minorities, or it's very diverse. And when you have a society that's diverse, I think we need to have these type of conversations. They're essential to have. And I think we all need to learn about different peoples, honestly, and the things they experience, and learn how to coexist. I think that is such an important thing to do. And unfortunately, it's not something that I see happening um at a satisfactory level. Definitely not satisfying. So I hope that this podcast episode was somewhat enlightening. Um, but I really do hope that it helps people really think about accommodating religious minorities and understanding them. And really, this I can make this a really long episode, but I don't want to. But really, we can even extend this to a conversation about the cultural minorities and understanding how different people live and function in a culture. And when you understand people, it makes it easier to accommodate for them, or quote unquote coexist. So that's what I have for you guys today. Um, Thank you, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.